Today I'm making an orange pound cake, but instead of using regular oranges, I'm using blood oranges. Blood oranges are in season right now, so I thought why not use them. The cake is moist and delicious and is covered in a pink blood orange glaze. Let's get started and I'll show you just how easy it is to make this orange pound cake. The first step is to juice the oranges. You're going to need 1 cup of blood orange juice for the cake and 7 tablespoons for the glaze. Now while your oven is being preheated to 350 degrees, we'll start the batter by adding 2 sticks of softened butter to a stand mixer. Then add 2 cups of sugar to the mixing bowl and beat on medium speed for several minutes until it becomes light and fluffy. I'm adding a ½ cup of vegetable oil. I know oil isn't traditionally in pound cakes, but it makes for a moister cake, so I'm adding it. Besides, most pound cakes aren't really pound cakes anyway, because in order to really be a pound cake, each ingredient needs to weigh 1 pound, and modern pound cake recipes usually don't follow the original measurements, and they also add more liquid than the original pound cakes. Make sure you scrape the bowl, and if you're like me, you'll use a paddle attachment that has scrapers attached. I love using that attachment. Next, I'm adding 5 eggs and adding them one at a time. Adding the eggs one at a time ensures that they're properly mixed and emulsified. Oh, by the way, my blender isn't on a high speed. I sped this part up because I'm sure you don't want to slowly watch each egg be incorporated into the batter. Once I've got all of my eggs incorporated, I'm then going to move on to the next step, which is going to be to add in my dry ingredients. Now that it's time to start adding in the dry ingredients, I'm adding 3 cups of flour, and I'm going to add it in thirds. I'll add the first third, and then after I got the first third incorporated, I will then add 1/2 cup of blood orange juice. And in total, I'm going to use 1 cup of blood orange juice. And once I've got the ½ cup mixed in, I'm going to mix it on low speed. After the juice is incorporated, I add the next third of the flour, being sure to incorporate the flour before I add in more of the blood orange juice. I add my remaining ½ cup of blood orange juice, make sure that I mix that in, mixing on low. Once I've got that fully incorporated on low speed, then I'm going to add in the remaining flour. It'll be the remaining 1 cup of flour. Now I'm going to add the remaining of my dry ingredients, which is going to be 1 tablespoon of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of salt. Now you can mix the baking powder and the salt in with the flour before it gets added to the batter, but it's still going to be incorporated properly before it gets put into the bun pan. The juice alone isn't enough to give the cake its orange flavor, so I'm going to add the zest of 6 blood oranges. You can even include a little bit of orange extract if you want to. As a matter of fact, you can make this cake using any type of orange. The flavor of the blood orange is milder than regular orange and less acidic, but it isn't that much different. Now it's time to put the batter into the bundt pan. I use Wilton's Bake Easy spray because it makes the cake release a lot easier than using butter and flour. Once I've got all my batter in the pan, I'm going to level it out and clean off the center tube if you were sloppy like I was. Bake it at 350 degrees for about 50 minutes or until the toothpick comes out with a few crumbs on it. Now it's time to make that pink blood orange glaze. This is the easiest part. The glaze is 4 cups of powdered sugar and 7 tablespoons of blood orange juice. Mix it until it is completely smooth and that there are no lumps in there. I love that color and the consistency is perfect. You smell the oranges, which means the glaze will have a nice orange flavor. You can pour it right over the cake with a piping bag, a spoon, or pour it right over the bowl like I did. I'm spreading it to make sure that the entire top of the cake gets some glaze and it'll level out on its own. Look at that glaze. It tastes just as good as it looks. I've got my own piece. Now it's time for you to give it a try so you can get your own.